What is going on, you guys? Today I have another episode for you where I'm going to be reviewing a YouTube channel called LFA, and the title here is Why Men Are Opting Out of Long-Term Relationships. Let's get into it.
Morning. What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. As you can see behind me, the trees are starting to turn a little bit orange. So you can tell we're in the middle of October. It's the fall. The weather's changing. We're in about the mid-50s right now. And as the weather changes, what people desire from the opposite sex also changes. You know, in the summertime, the ladies are all wearing sexy clothes. They call it hot girl summer. And as it starts to get a little more chilly outside, it becomes, as we used to call it, cuffing season. I'm not sure what they're calling it nowadays. Let me know in the comment section. Put me up on things. I got to try to stay hip. And, as things are changing, as I said, what people want tends to change. And what I want to talk about in today's video is what accounts for about 90% of the battle. 90% of the game, 90% of the struggle comes from this one area. And that is being in the right place at the right time. The other 10% is just who you are. Being the best version of yourself. Physically, financially, and morally. Morally might sound like a weird one to throw in there, but respect yourself and respect others and just see what happens. Anyways, we're not here to talk about the 10%. We're here to talk about the 90%, being in the right place at the right time. Now, this is something that a lot of the pickup artist types, really a lot of manosphere, guru types, will probably not want to admit, however they know it's true. They want to think it's all about their game. They want to think it's all about their social skills and, the whatever moves they were making. But realistically, it's all about being in the right place at the right time. To give you an example, let's say a friend of yours has a girlfriend and he invites you out to, go grab a drink. And he tells his girlfriend to bring one of her girlfriends. Well, because you're in the right place at the right time, it's very likely that you'll hook up with his girlfriend's friend, right? And if you didn't go, you would no longer be in the right place at the right time, and another man would go, and he would hook up with that woman. Same thing if you're going to a nightclub, right? So let's say you go to a nightclub, and you meet a lady, the two of you hit it off, you drink a little bit, you dance a little bit, and before you know it, the two of you are going home together. You might think that it was because of your game. It was because of your social skills. But let's do a little study here and, let's figure this out. Let's find a common denominator. Let's say you didn't go. Do you think that girl would have found another guy to drink with, to dance with, and to go home with?
Yes.
I think the answer is yes. What if she didn't show up and you went? Would you have found a different girl? Most likely. So the lowest common denominator is being in the right place at the right time. And this holds true in every aspect of life, to be honest with you. Let's say career-wise. Let's go with something that is relatable right now. Okay, it's football season. I know you guys aren't NFL football players, but most of you watch NFL. So every team has a starting quarterback, and every team, most teams have a young and hungry quarterback who hasn't had a chance to show how good he is yet. And at some point midway through the season, maybe the veteran quarterback gets hurt and the young quarterback gets to go in the game. And maybe it's at a point in the season when the team is ready to make a deep playoff run. They're ready to really get some momentum going on. And if he goes in the game and he gets the team to the playoffs and they make a deep playoff run, due to the fact that he was in the right place at the right time, he just happened to be there when an opportunity arose. Now he has a starting position and he's making a lot of money. But that holds true in any job. You start out and you're waiting for your shot. And if you're with the right company at the right time, you get your shot. We're not here to talk about that though, and we're not here to talk about hooking up. I want to go into details about relationships. And it's taken me a while to unfold this, but I want you guys to kind of grasp where I'm going with this. Now with relationships, Here's why this is important. And here's what guys should probably understand. Men and women approach relationships from an entirely different realm. It's not even close to being the same. They view it from a different lens. Men approach relationships from a standpoint where basically a man meets a woman that he likes and he begins to engage and pursue that woman. You know, maybe you get a woman's phone number and you start to pursue. Women approach relationships from a standpoint of wanting to accomplish something. So to give you an example, a woman can wake up one day and decide that she wants a boyfriend, and she can find a boyfriend.
Easily.
You know, a guy that is suitable to be a boyfriend. A woman can wake up one day and say she wants to get married. And if the boyfriend that she's with doesn't want to get married, she will quickly find an excuse to leave him, and she'll find a man that does want to get married.
Yeah.
A woman will wake up one day and decide she wants children, and she'll get with a man that will give her children. Men do not approach relationships that way. A man doesn't simply wake up and say, I'd like to have a girlfriend, and he goes out and finds one. He doesn't say, I'd like to get married, and he goes and finds a wife. He doesn't say, I'd like to have children, and he has a child. No, he meets a woman that he likes, and he pursues her. Women typically have an objective, and they go after that objective. It is the way it is, guys.
That's a good point. I never really thought about it that way, but guys are pretty simple about that. Like, we're attracted to the girl. We want to know if she's cool. Like, actually, if we want to hang around her more, if we like her personality. And it's really just about liking the person, not like this. We're not even thinking that far ahead, like, oh, is she going to be girlfriend material? Is she going to be wife material, mother material? And it's good to do that, by the way. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely good to do that. Although the first things first for us is, do we even like her, right? Is she attractive, and do we even like her? So it's funny that he broke it down so simply like that.
In this way. And by the way, this is why women get over breakups so fast. It's simply because you're no longer in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And some other guy that wants the same thing that she wants is going to be in the right place at the right time.
She's on a mission.
This is why women divorce 10 years into a marriage. You know, they've woke up one day and they say, you know what? I don't want to be married anymore. I want a divorce.
Yeah.
So they get a divorce. And, you know, it's all about timing. It's all about circumstances. And that's just the way that they approach relationships. You know, so you kind of have to deal with that. But the thing about this is, and this I guess is the red pilling part, there's no amount of game, there's no amount of money, there's no amount of emotional investment that is going to bond the two of you together forever. It's really a gamble. And a lot of men out there understand this, and they choose to stay single. There's only so many times that you can go through this, you know, this whole phase, this whole debacle, until you get burnt out on it. You know, in the modern dating game, people aren't meeting one person and staying with them forever. It's more of a serial monogamy thing. They're meeting one person, they stay with that person for months or years, and they split up and they go find somebody else. And typically on the man's end, and this is the tough part, typically the man, because of his strategy to get the woman, meeting a woman he likes and pursuing her, he typically invests everything in her, right? They call this one-itis. He's so emotionally invested in this one woman. And he happened to be in the right place at the right time when he met her that night. And she happened to be looking for what she was looking for. And she selected him to be the guy. And he took her out, he married her, he had kids with her. And all of a sudden, she's woke up one day and she doesn't want marriage anymore. She divorces him. And now his life is destroyed, you know, he's going through it. And there's something that you call, or that they call, lovesick. So lovesick is what happens anytime you're in a position where you'll do whatever it takes to make a relationship last.
Yeah.
And the woman, or it could be the other way around, the woman could be the one that will do whatever it takes, but when one of you is in a position where you'll do whatever it takes to make a relationship last, and the other person doesn't really care one way or the other. So anytime you have that dynamic going on, you can call it dismissive avoidant, you can call it narcissism, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but the dynamic in place is one of you is willing to do whatever it takes to make it work, and the other one doesn't really care one way or the other. That's how a toxic relationship is formed. And anytime you're in a toxic relationship, you're going to develop a love sickness. So this is a psychological illness that takes place when you know that the person that you are emotionally invested with doesn't feel the same way. Maybe they've cheated on you. Maybe it's an ongoing relationship where you can tell they just aren't in it.
Yep.
You know, but this is when guys start to get heartbroken. You know, they're stressed out, staying up all night, sick to their stomach. You know, they catch their wife cheating, whatever it may be, but they're in this awkward position, this strange position where there's a dark cloud over their head. That's love sickness. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
You know what? That's a really unfortunate situation to go through. And if you're familiar with any of the red pill stuff, right? Like, that's a very red pilling situation, right? I think a lot of guys go through that at some point. Not everybody, of course, but a lot of guys hit that at one point where it kind of smacks you in the face of like this reality of she didn't really like you like that. She left. You did all these things for her, and then she left. Blah, 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 right? I think where the problem comes in is, I know, again, it's unfortunate, right? I think a lot of guys have this naive Disney mentality. Like, they adopted the Disney mentality more than women did, which is crazy to even say out loud. They adopted that more than women did, so they're actually probably more of a romantic until that happens, right? So they get smacked in the face with this crazy brick, right? Like, you know, she doesn't want you anymore. She cheated. You know, she wants a divorce. Whatever it is, you know, any level of that. Child support, alimony, blah, 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 right? You are broken out of the Disney mentality and your world is shaken, which is why guys get so bitter about it. And you have two options, right? You can stay bitter or you can get better. It's easy. I know it sucks, but you get to choose your hard in life, right? So you get to stay bitter. That's hard. Or you get to get better and find someone who's a better fit for you. That might feel hard until you find someone and you realize why it didn't work out with the last person. It is what it is, right? I mean, it's up to you to not be a victim and take accountability. Like, all right, like, even if it was mostly her fault, hypothetically, who knows, right? Even if it was mostly her fault, it's still your responsibility to go out there, improve, and find someone who's a better fit for you. Because no one is going to come to your pity party. Look, like, I hate to break this to you. We're all guys here, or, you know, maybe there's some women watching this too. No one is going to come to that pity party. You have to pick yourself up. Because no one's going to be like, oh, what's wrong with them? They're not going to get you into a happier place or a new relationship for you, right? You have to realize that you've always been more than enough. You've always been abundant, right? And you can place yourself into this mindset where you've baked an entire cake, basically. Your life is this amazing cake, and your future partner is the cherry on top. You get what I'm saying, right? Like, it's okay if that cherry is taken away, because it's really no big deal. You've got this awesome cake and the icing and everything already there. So that should be really helpful for you moving forward, which is why the one-nighters thing, or the love sickness, is so difficult for guys, because they adopt the Disney mentality, and one-nighters is like, oh, she was the only one for me. It can't be anybody else. She broke my heart. And it's like, dude, are you serious? There's literally so many women on the planet, and I get it. You had an emotional attachment. And it probably is a little bit of a sunk cost fallacy, right? Like, let's say someone spends a ton of time or years becoming a doctor. And then they want to do something else. They'll have a battle in their brain because it's like, well, my parents told me I should be a doctor, and I studied to be a doctor for 10 years, and now I'm a doctor, but I want to do this other thing. I don't like being a doctor, right? That's exactly almost the same thing that happens with dating or a marriage or whatever. It's like, if you were in the Disney mentality and then that happens, you realize it's your responsibility. You can make the change, and it doesn't matter how much time has gone by. Now you can actually make a change for the better and attract a high quality partner to you by being that person yourself. You get what I'm saying?
If you've experienced this, for a lot of guys, maybe once or twice, maybe a divorce, maybe a brutal breakup where you catch the love of your life cheating on you.
Yep.
Maybe you lose your house and your kids. Maybe it's strictly just an emotional thing. You just love her and she doesn't feel the same way. Well, you experience this love sickness and it burns you so bad that after experiencing this maybe 3 or 4 times, you're going to check out. Most guys just check out. They say, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
And guys that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. Women too, it can go either way, but
sure.
Typically it's the man that's on the heartbroken side. So that's something you have to take into consideration. And, even when you're out in a nightclub and, you're just a dude trying to get his rocks off, somewhere in that nightclub, or maybe scattered all throughout the nightclub, there's going to be women who have made a decision. At some point in that night, they made a decision that they wanted to have sex, right? So it's not really about having game. It's not even necessarily about your mouthpiece. It's about putting yourself in a position to be in the right place at the right time. Sometimes a lady will just be looking at you and she'll grab you and start kissing you, simply because she's in the mood to hook up and you're the guy that's there. A lot of times, maybe you're swiping through a dating app and a girl will message you, a lady. Some people get mad when I say girl, but I just think it sounds better, I suppose. But you'll be swiping and, she's really interested in you and you're not sure why. She wants to go out and she wants to spend time with you. She's looking for a boyfriend. You just happen to be the guy that was there. You happen to be the one she picked. Right place at the right time. And essentially that's what the dating game comes down to. So if you're a man that's not getting results, you're probably not going to the right places. And the right places for you could be different than the right places for me.
Yep.
I'm a 38-year-old man. I go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week, so I'm physically fit. I live a pretty boring life. I go to church. I may go out on the weekends for a drink every now and then, but, I live a pretty basic and stable life. I work hard and come home. So for me, my place is, somewhere like the gym or somewhere like church. And typically, I'm going to have a lady bump into me.
Or the grocery store, or if you're out somewhere getting coffee, or the mall. Just actually being able to create an opportunity and not being scared to walk up to a girl. Do you see when I say that out loud, how ridiculous that sounds? Because there's so many guys that are like, oh, what do I say? What if this happens? I get it. And I know that we're in a funny culture right now, and guys have this idea that it's going to be like this big bomb in their face, like it's going to blow up into be this big dramatic thing. And so they overthink it to the point where they don't even do it, and they pre-reject themselves from even meeting a girl. When it was as easy as going up and saying, is this avocado ripe? I can never really tell. It's like that. I mean, I get it. I know that it's hard because I was there before, right? I used to be very shy about that, so I totally understand where you're coming from. Although I hope you hearing me say that Like I'm showing you, like I'm basically frustrated at my younger self. Like, come on, man, like it wasn't that hard. It really wasn't that hard. And so I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of YouTubers are basically sharing lessons that they would share with their younger self, right? Because now we know a little bit better. We're learning. We're still learning, of course. Nobody's an expert. Nobody's a master. It's good to share this with you guys that are watching that may need the help, though. Because what this guy's saying, he's got a lot of really great points, and I just want to tack on a few things to be able to help you guys as well. Because it's easier than you can imagine. You're basically getting in your own way with your mind.
Is she's looking for, if we're on the same page, it can work out. But there's different layers to it. If you're a 4 out of 10 in looks and you're going after models, dime pieces, you're probably delusional. That's not your weight class. You got to figure out what your weight class is and where that is at.
Yeah.
And find a girl there. Find yourself a lady there. But, as I said, I like to discuss the good side and the bad side rather than just giving advice. I like to, discuss, open up the situation and look at it as a whole. And you got to keep in mind, when a woman is at a stage in her life where she wants to accomplish something, she's going to accomplish that whether you like it or not. This isn't 100 years ago when there were no condoms, no birth control, and no paternity tests. And a man could travel the country and basically hook up with a lady, and whether he gets her pregnant or not, he can move on about his business.
Yeah.
And she may be pregnant, and she has no way of contacting him, doesn't even know who he is. We don't live in that realm anymore. We live in a realm where there are essentially no consequences to your actions. As long as you do what is illegal, you can have sex with whoever you want. You can divorce whoever you want. And, nothing really binding the two of you together anymore. So understand that things can happen. And whatever it is you want to accomplish, align yourself to accomplish that. But make sure you have realistic expectations, because you don't want to be the guy that's lovesick and heartbroken and getting burnt out.
Yeah. You
want to be the guy that, I don't want to say is indifferent, certainly not apathetic, maybe slightly stoic. Be passionate about what you're doing and love your people, but also understand you shouldn't be too invested. If you have to hit the eject button or you get thrown out of the car, you should have a backup plan. Have something lined up. Something to keep your mental health in place. For me, that's the gym. It's such a simple thing I can do, but no matter what I'm going through, when I walk into my sanctuary and I hit the weights, all my troubles go away. I don't recommend that you go to drugs and alcohol or something like that. Some people do. That's not a good option. But as long as you find something productive, you should be okay. The worst thing that can really happen is you go through a divorce, you lose your house, and you lose most custody of your kids if you have those. But you can still work around it, and you can still land on your feet, and you can still make it. But the most important thing is making sure your mental health is still on track.
100%.
If you're healthy and you're in a good place mentally, no matter what chaos is going on in the world, financially, whatever stressors are coming your way, if you're in good health, you can take it on and you can handle it.
Good point. I mean, like having something that you love doing that can keep you in your mental health in a good place. The gym is a perfect one. The gym is great. It's a stress reliever, right? It's like therapy in a way. I know people like to joke, like, men think the gym's replacement for therapy. It really does help a lot, though. You stay consistent. You start trusting yourself more. You see results from it. You feel better. You've released chemicals in your body. You're probably eating better because of that. It's so many good things. And then, you could do other things like reading, or maybe you're into some kind of sport like football, maybe like a league close by to you, in your city or neighborhood. Anything, hiking, rock climbing, yoga, learning an instrument, Muay Thai boxing, right? You really like think about it. Like what do you think you might enjoy? Because oftentimes, even in some of those situations, if a guy wasn't doing that before, it would really benefit him to do that now that he's going through like that heartbreak or whatever. That's like a game changer for guys, for sure. And also, if you don't, I think we've all known someone that has done this, but basically some guys, they get into a relationship or a marriage and then they lose all their friends because they stopped seeing them, right? Or they didn't listen to their friends who maybe was saying that the relationship might be not the best fit for him, right? So then they stop talking. And then he either goes back to those friends later or needs to find new friends because it's been so long. Now, I'm not judging for that, right? I totally get that that's a difficult situation. The reason I'm bringing it up is because along with all those hobbies that I just mentioned, like the sports, the gym, etc., it would also be good for you to start socializing again. Even in just a basic way, like maybe going out to some events, meeting some people, maybe making some potential new friends, maybe dating again after a little while, not putting too much pressure on it or being too serious until you're ready, right? So I think what this guy is saying is really great. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate you making it this far. I actually just started offering lifestyle guidance calls, so if you want, you can book that in the description below. I put a link down there. Outside of that, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. You got this, bro.